J-Knight Batrep.
So hey everyone, welcome to another J-Knight Battle Report. As always, my name is Jay, and today I'm at, guess where I am? I'm at Black Knight Games in Hamilton. They have some awesome tables, great atmosphere. They have like 50 times more people than I've ever seen in Welland. So if you're in the area, definitely come out and check out Black Knight Games in Hamilton. It's a great place, and they have another person named Jay here. So that's good. And today I'm against Shane. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're playing 35 points of Warmachine, so this is going to be my first Warmachine battle report officially under J-Knight. And so expect some rules I'm going to make some rules wrong, and he's probably going to call me on it in the game, and it'll all be good. That's cool. And you're bringing?
Circle Orboros.
Circle of Orboros. That's cool. Yep. I've only faced Circle of Orboros once. Hordes, it looks like a fun game. I'm going to start Hordes actually. I'm thinking Scorn.
Interesting choice.
I know. I like Circle of Orboros too, but my friend had already claimed it. I have one of those groups of friends that we each have a different army, and so Troll Bloods and Circle are better. So I'm thinking, I really like the Mammoth, but it's all good. So we're playing 35 points. What's that we're playing?
We are playing Ammunition Run.
Ammunition Run. That's very cool. Is that with the three things, the three things that we can destroy? Like
something like that.
Yeah, we go for the middle one, and that we each have to destroy our opponent's one. I think I know what you're talking about. That's awesome. So without further ado, we'll get to the armies and the scenario. Alright, so here is my 35 points of Cygnar. As you can see, I love to run jacks. My caster is going to be Epic Nemo in the front. I have attached to him a Squire to give him more focus, longer range of his control, a Journeyman Warcaster for Arcane Shield, Arlen Strangeways to fix the jacks, and then an Ironclad, a Centurion, a Hammersmith, and a Stormclad. And that is my 35 points of Cygnar awesomeness. And now here's 35 points of Circle of Orboros. As you can see, he also doesn't like to run a lot of models as well, which is pretty cool. We'll start off with his caster, which is Prime Boulder. Up next is a Wold Warden, a Heavy Warbeast. Next, he has a Gallows Grove, which is a solo. And then this big honking thing in the middle, which you can't miss, is the Woldwrath, a Gargantuan. And finally, Megalith, the character version of the Wold Warden. And that is 35 points of Circle of Orboros. So here's what the table looks like before deployment. As you can see, there are two zones, one on each of our sides. And basically, starting the end of turn 2, if you are in the zone and your opponent isn't, you get a point. If your caster's in a zone and your opponent isn't, you get 2 points. And the first 1 to 5 points wins the game, either that or a caster kill. And you can take control of those other things and run them into the zones to score. We roll to see who goes first. I roll a 3, he rolls a 4, and he decides to go first. So here's what the battlefield looks like after deployment. As you can see, I just lined up my jacks with my caster behind it and to protect them, and once again he lined up his guys, and he's just going to run for the center area. I'm going to run for the center area, and we're going to see what happens and who will score these zones first. As I said, it starts at the end of turn 2, so my second turn. So now it is Circle of Orboros, turn 1. He starts by giving a Fury to his Wold Warden and running him, and doing the same thing for his Megalith, just giving him a Fury and running him. He moves up his Prime Boulder and casts Stone Skin on the Wold Warden, which increases his strength and armor, but decreases his speed and defense. And then creates a forest area, which will be blocking terrain and becomes difficult terrain to move through right there. And then he runs and riles his Woldwrath, and just behind the rest of his guys. And finally moves up his Gallows Grove. Cygnar turn 1. You'll notice I basically do the same thing. First turn of Warmachine is usually always just moving up and getting yourself in a good striking area. So I take an extra focus from my Squire. I don't give any to the jacks. I just keep it all in Nemo so I can cast his spells. So I cast Lightning Shroud on my Centurion, Force Field on my Hammersmith, and Failsafe on my Stormclad. And then I just move up Nemo, in front of him. And then my Journeyman casts Arcane Shield on Nemo too, to give him some extra armor buff, and then moves up. My Squire moves up too. And then my Arlen Strangeways gives a free focus to the Centurion, and then I just move up. The reason why I didn't run up is just because I wanted to get those spells off so that I can upkeep them for the future turns. And also if I charged up now, he'd probably be able to assault me next turn, and I was hoping to keep him as far back as possible. I do have Energizer, so that next turn, if I really want to get them an assault and pop feet, which is to give them all extra focus, I can use that. And so I use that focus on the Centurion to run him. That's the end of Cygnar turn 1. And as I said, just turn 1 we both moved up. The zones aren't scoring yet. And yeah, we'll see what happens in Circle Orboros turn 2. So he leeches some Fury for some spell casting. He upkeeps Stone Skin and upkeeps that forest there. He starts by moving up Boulder. Boulder casts the Woldwarden's Animus on himself, which creates another forest right over him, which he could use later for teleporting if he wants. And then he riles his Woldwarden and moves him up into the zone so that he is scoring starting the end of my turn. Then moves up Megalith and uses his Animus, which gives -2 defense to me within 5 inches, and it creates a zone of difficult terrain. And then takes over the objective, which he can use to move it into the zone, which can also be used for scoring purposes. And finally moves up his Woldwarden, just up a little bit, just to keep him within reach of my guys. So his Woldwarden shoots my Centurion. Defense is 11, so it hits. And he's boosting the damage, and that's a lot of damage. Pow's 15, so it's dice -6, so 8 to my 2. And as you can see there, took out a good chunk of the left. And because it hit him, it drops a lightning, which means if I begin or end a turn in it, I get a POW 10. And because it also hit him, it hits the next closest thing, but it cannot hurt my objective yet because it can't hurt them till the end of my second turn. And the grove stays where it is. So now it is Cygnar turn 2. Once again, I take another focus from the Squire, so I have an 8 total. I upkeep all 3 spells on the guys, and I upkeep Arcane Shield on Nemo. I give 1 focus to the Stormwall and 1 to the Ironclad. And then I Energizer everyone 3 inches. So I move up the Centurion, move up the Ironclad, and then the Stormclad, and the Hammersmith. Basically, my goals right now is just to advance, perhaps try to keep out of his melee range, because I measured it, and he's just outside of mine, so I'm not going to pop my feet this turn. I'm just going to move up and keep my guys hopefully safe a little bit, to keep them out of harm's way, and hopefully be able to pop feet next turn. But I gotta also contest these areas, since he just jumps into both of them. I have to jump into both of them too, and hopefully I'll be able to score a point, and he won't. So I move up my Centurion to that area, move up my... So I decide to charge. I spend a focus and charge my Ironclad. This will just be a first wave to hopefully tie him up and block his movement, and then my heavy hitters will come behind him and do some damage. I also spent a focus and tried to do a charge on him, and I was successful, so I get my first attack. It does hit, and it's dice -2, so I do 6 damage. Sorry, 7 damage total. And then it arcs to the other one, and it can start hurting it, but I don't hurt it at all by rolling an 8. It was dice -10. And then I just move up everyone else behind it, so that way I can just keep advancing. And then I spend the focus on the Hammersmith, just to make him run. Once again, I'm just moving my guys up so that he can't assault all of them in one turn. I'll be able to assault him, and I'll hopefully be able to do some damage. So after now turn 2, I get a point because I'm scoring that area and he isn't. He doesn't have anybody in there, and I'm contesting the other one. So it is 1-0 for Cygnar. But of course, there's a lot of game left. So we'll see what happens in Circle Orboros turn 3. He expires the forest, and both of those lightning things expire. He's not upkeeping the other forest either. And he leeches the Fury. And then he let Stone Skin expire. Sorry, he keeps the Stone Skin. He let the other one expire. And then he moves in to melee at range with his Woldwarden. Needs 6s to hit, and hits. And then he boosts this attack. It's dice -1. And so it's a lot. So it's 13 damage. So 12 damage to 4. And he ends up basically down the middle, which is the best thing for me, because it doesn't do any damage. Then he has another attack. Hits once again. And he boosts damage once again. So you basically can see what's happening. He's starting to really hit this Ironclad hard. Dice -1, so 3 damage to 4. Oh, sorry, 7 damage to 4. Luckily, my Ironclad is my weakest, which is why I moved him up just to entice. The other ones are actually my strongest heavy hitters. Then he swings again, hits again, and boosts damage once again. And this time it's a huge amount of damage, 12 to my 1. And that boxes him entirely. So now the Ironclad is a wreck. But it does also knock him back, because it's the chain attack. So it knocks him back 3 inches, and that's where the wreck marker will be. And next, the scariest thing on the board, the Woldwrath charges my Stormclad. I didn't see this one coming. I thought I just had him outside of reach, but it ended up being I misinterpreted it. So he swings, needs 6s to hit, and hits. And as you can probably predict, because he's hit, my guy's also knocked down after this. Because he got hit by Woldwrath. And now it's dice -2, so 5. Sorry, he boosted it because of the charge attack. So he ends up doing 10 damage to my 2. And it's the second attack, automatically hits because I'm knocked down. And it's dice -2, so he does 4 to my 3. So it cripples my movement. He buys another attack. It hits. And it does 6 to 1 because it automatically hits because I'm knocked down. There we go. As you can see, the Stormclad is now getting really wailed on. So he buys another attack. It automatically hits. And it does 3 to 4. So as you can see, the thing about these monsters is they just keep buying attacks and swinging away. But it might hurt them later in the game. We'll see what happens there. Buys another attack, and this time it is enough to finish off the Stormclad. And it is also a wreck. So now he is replaced by a wreck marker. So now he is in range of the Hammersmith, so he decides to buy another attack. Swings and hits. And does straight damage. So 6 to 2. And finally he moves up his Megalith just to contest that area. So it's touching the area, and then he also casts Stone Skin. And then as I said, he's just touching the area, so now it denies me the point at the end of this turn. And then moves up Boulder behind everyone else. And he pops a forest right there by casting the forest spell, so this will block my Centurion's movement pretty badly. And he creates another forest on top of him, which he could later use to teleport if he wants. And then he decides to pop his feet. And his feet means that basically within 12 inches of him, an entire circle is now rough terrain. I lose Pathfinder if I get it, and he gets stealth, so that will really screw up my movement for next turn. And finally, he moves up his Gallows Grove and the thing. So now at the end of his turn, he's also got a point because now he has his guys in the right area, and I don't have anything in the left area. So now it's Cygnar, turn 3. So once again, I start off by taking another focus from the Squire, and I upkeep my my 1 spell in Centurion. I let the other one expire, but I do upkeep Arcane Shield on Nemo just to keep him nice and strong. And I also, I upkeep both of the spells on the 2 guys. And then I decide to Energizer 3 inches. This is just to propel my guys a little bit more forward to get them where they need to go on top of their movement. and also to get him out the way of the... And then I pop my feat too. And now my feat basically gives full focus to all my jacks in my battle group. So that's pretty nice. So now they can go and hopefully do some serious damage to my opponent. Nemo shoots the Woldwrath, hits, and gets dice -7 damage, which is 2 to his 2. Which isn't bad for a free shot. And then the Journeyman Warcaster also moves up and decides to shoot the Woldwrath too, since I can maybe weaken it before the Hammersmith goes. So I boost to hit, and I hit, and then I boost to the wound damage, and I once again do 2 damage to 1. So not a lot of damage there. So then Arlen Strangeways runs and just gets behind the Centurion to give him some support next turn, and the Squire moves up with the Nemo. Hammersmith goes and starts to wail on the Woldwrath. So I hit in the first one. I need everything but Snake Eyes. And then I do no damage the first one. I hit the second one. And once again, it's dice -3. And I do 3 to his 1. So I'm really not taking any systems. I need to hit harder with this Hammersmith. So I get to, because I hit the first 2, I get a 3rd attack for free. It hits. He's not knocked back because he's a gargantuan. Then I do 5 to 4. I buy another attack with my focus. Once again, everything but Snake Eyes. It hits. Dice -3. And I do 6 to his 3. So now I'm finally starting to chip away at his boxes. But I need to do it to the same boxes, because otherwise he'll still be at full strength. So I buy another attack. It hits as well. Dice -3. And I do 4 damage to his 1. So I'm almost taking out his mind. Or sorry, spirit. Or his mind. And I hit with my last attack. And I do 5. To his 5. So at the end of this, unfortunately, he's going to be pretty much at full strength and pretty strong. So then Centurion spends a focus to charge his Megalith, which is luckily the perfect distance as I guessed, and I'm able to get in reach range. So his first attack hits, 3d6, and I do a lot of damage to his 6. I think I did 13 damage total. 13 damage total, which is good. Then I buy another attack, and I miss, unfortunately, with Snake Eyes. So I buy my final attack, and that hits too, because he casts Stone Skin on himself. Otherwise, it wouldn't have hit. And it's dice -1, so 7 damage to his 1. So I'm hurting this Megalith. So now after 2 turns, we're both contesting both zones, so no one gets a point, and the score remains to be 1-1. We've both popped our feats, so I think turn 3 is going to be, turn 4 is actually going to be quite interesting. And we'll see what happens in turn 4. Circle of Orboros, turn 4. Right now his goal is just to pound my guys, and so he does not upkeep the forest. And he does not upkeep Stone Skin on the Megalith. And then he leashes his Fury. Unfortunately, there's still Fury left on his beast, so they're not going to be as strong this turn because they can't do as many extra attacks. But right now, his goal is just to wail on my guys so that they can do some damage. That's his Animus, which is Druid's Wrath, which basically gives +1 dice to any magic attack made on a target within a certain distance of him, within 10 inches of him. So he gets his 2 attacks on the Hammersmith. First one misses. Second one hits. Now it's dice -2 again, and he does 2 to 2. As I mentioned, he doesn't suffer the effects of crippled systems, and moves up his Gallows Grove, and uses it to cast Earth Spikes through him as an Arc Node at my caster, Nemo. But luckily Nemo has Arcane Shield and a couple Focus, so he's pretty hard right now to hurt. So he gets 4 dice because it's a magic attack. So it hits, but no critical damage. He really wanted critical. And now it's dice -8. And he does 1 damage to Nemo. So the first box is gone. Next, Balder moves up on top of the rack marker. And he shoots his attack at him. Once again hits, but no critical. And this time does 3 damage, which isn't bad. So now 4 damage off him. 10 left. And now then he punches the Hammersmith with his melee attack. So it hits, but its defense powers 15. So it does 3 damage to his 6. And repeats this process on the Hammersmith. And hits. And now it's dice. -2. So 6 to 4. Oh, sorry, 2 to 4. Dice -6. And he gets chain attack because this happened. It hits and does 1 damage, but then it also knocks him down and knocks him 3 inches away. So it goes away from him, so parallel to the Woldwrath, and he's now knocked down. And then he gets to heal. We forgot about this, but he gets to heal D3 boxes at the start of his turn on the Megalith, and he did that just because we're playing a friendly game. And then he tries to cast Earth Spikes on Nemo once again, gets 4 dice to hit, and once again he hits, but no critical hit, which is what he was going for. And he boosts damage, and this time he hits really hard on Nemo. And Nemo's down to only 3 more boxes, but that's pretty much all of his attacks. So now it is 2 to 1 because he controls one area, because he knocked me out of it, but I contest the other one. So I really need to do something. Cygnar, turn 4. Right now I have to debate whether or not I should go for his caster and kill him, or should I stay in the boxes, kill his war beasts, and try to win the war of attrition. I decided to go for the caster kill, because I just really want to see if I can kill this caster. I think I can. So what I do is I give 3 focus to my Hammersmith, and I give 1 to the Centurion. I upkeep Arcane Shield, and I upkeep the 1 on the Centurion, which increases his strength. So I use 1 focus to get up, and to prevent him from being knocked down, I move up Arlen Strangeways, and I cast Evasive Action, so that way he cannot suffer free strikes. And then I Energizer, move him aside out of the range of the Woldwrath, and I move up my Centurion. So I figured I should move up with Nemo and see if I can shoot Baldur first to maybe weaken him. So I shoot Baldur with his gun. I hit. I needed an 8, but it was really good. And I did a lot of damage. I did 5 damage at the beginning, and then I move up my Journeyman Warcaster and do the same thing. I shoot, I boost to hit, and of course I hit. I need an 8, and once again I boost to wound. And I do 2 damage. It was dice -4. So right now, I try to charge first with the Centurion, because he has slightly longer range. I hopefully get him in, just maybe weaken him for the Hammersmith. I get my charge distance, which is really nice. I get to hit, and I need an 8, so I don't hit. A shot with the Hammersmith. I spend my focus to charge in. So once again, I need 8 to hit, and I missed my first one with double 1s. I try again, and it's double 1s again. Now, if I fail this one, he will automatically win the game, because I've avoided the sins, and I roll, and I hit with an 8, and now I need a 9 to kill him, and I roll a 10. So I caster kill him, and that is great. Baldur is dead, and this is the end of the board. Basically, I abandoned the zone, so if I left and I didn't kill him, he would have won the game by just default. But luckily, I'm able to kill him by just a little bit of luck. It is a hearty handshake and a great game, and a Cygnar victory.